Have you ever believed the universe was trying to tell you something? That's exactly what happened when fate brought together two strangers on the side of a rainy highway, one running from love, the other racing toward it, neither realizing they were headed for the same destination. If this story of unexpected connection touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to see more real-life romance stories that prove sometimes the best things happen when our plans fall apart. Jack Morgan wiped the rain from his forehead with his forearm, careful to keep the grease on his hands away from his face. The downpour had started suddenly, turning the evening sky dark prematurely and making the roadside repair even more challenging. But the woman standing anxiously beside him, holding an umbrella over them both, seemed more distressed about the time than the weather. "I can't thank you enough for stopping," she said, checking her watch for the third time in 5 minutes. "I was beginning to think I'd be stranded here all night." Jack nodded without looking up from the engine. "No problem. Couldn't just drive past someone in trouble." He tightened the loose connection on her battery terminal. "Especially not in this weather. Your alternator's fine, just a corroded connection. Should start right up now." The woman, Ellie, she'd introduced herself as, smiled gratefully. She was pretty, Jack noticed despite himself. Dark curls framed a face with kind eyes and a warm smile. Under different circumstances, he might have been interested. But tonight, he had his own problems. "You must be in a hurry," he observed, noticing her dressy outfit beneath her rain jacket. Ellie sighed. "Blind date. My sister set it up, and she'll never let me hear the end of it if I don't show. Though honestly, I'm half hoping this car trouble gives me a legitimate excuse to bail." Jack laughed, the sound surprising him. He hadn't laughed much lately. "Not a fan of blind dates?" "About as much as dental surgery," she replied. "But it's been 2 years since my divorce, and apparently that's the statute of limitations on wallowing." Jack felt a strange connection to this stranger. He closed the hood of her car. "Well, you should be all set now. Good luck with your date." "What do I owe you?" Ellie asked, reaching for her purse. Jack waved her off. "Pay it forward sometime." As Ellie drove away with a final wave of thanks, Jack climbed back into his truck, checking the time. He was now officially late for his own blind date, the one his well-meaning but persistent mother had arranged. He'd promised to give it a chance, but after losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago, dating felt like a betrayal. His 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, was the only woman he needed in his life. The restaurant was crowded when Jack arrived, shaking rainwater from his jacket. He'd changed his shirt in the truck, but his jeans still bore traces of grease. He scanned the tables, looking for a woman sitting alone who matched his mother's vague description. "You'll know her when you see her, Jackie. She's lovely." And then he saw her, Ellie, sitting at a corner table, checking her phone with a worried expression. Their eyes met across the room, and Jack watched as recognition, confusion, and then amusement crossed her face. "You've got to be kidding me," she said when he approached her table. "You're Jack Morgan? Evelyn's son?" Jack couldn't help but smile. "And you're Eleanor Hayes. My mother's perfect match for me." "The very same," she confirmed, gesturing to the chair across from her. "Though I usually go by Ellie." "I gathered that," Jack said, sitting down. "I'm sorry I'm late. I was helping this woman with car trouble on Highway 16. Ellie laughed. "Apology accepted, considering you were late because you were helping me." The awkwardness Jack had dreaded dissolved into easy conversation. He learned that Ellie was a pediatric nurse who loved hiking and classic movies. She listened intently as he talked about Sophie and his work as a mechanical engineer. By dessert, Jack found himself sharing things he hadn't told anyone since his wife died, how he worried about raising a daughter alone, how quiet the house felt after Sophie went to bed. "I understand," Ellie said softly. "After my divorce, I felt like I'd failed somehow. Like I should have been able to make it work." "What happened?" Jack asked, then quickly added, "If you don't mind me asking." Ellie shrugged. "The usual story. We wanted different things. He wanted a wife who would put her career second, and I wanted a partner who valued my ambitions as much as his own. We tried counseling, but in the end, we were just making each other miserable." Jack nodded. "That's tough. Different from losing someone, but still a loss." "Different kinds of grief," Ellie agreed. "How's Sophie handling everything?" Jack smiled at the mention of his daughter. "She's incredible. Resilient in ways I never expected. But she misses having a mother figure. My mom helps, but she lives across town." "It sounds like you're doing a great job," Ellie said. "Not many men would dedicate themselves so completely to being a single dad." Jack felt warmth spread through his chest at her words. "I'm just doing what any parent would do." "Trust me," Ellie said with a knowing look, "not every parent would." When the check came, they realized they'd been talking for nearly 3 hours. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. "Can I walk you to your car?" Jack offered. "I'd like that," Ellie replied. "Though I think we've established I'm in good hands if it doesn't start." As they walked, their hands brushed accidentally. Jack felt a jolt of electricity that both thrilled and terrified him. When they reached her car, he found himself reluctant to say goodnight. "I had a really nice time," Ellie said, breaking the silence. "Much better than I expected." "Me too," Jack admitted. "I almost didn't come tonight." Ellie tilted her head. "Why not?" Jack hesitated, then decided on honesty. "I've been using Sophie as an excuse not to date. Telling myself she needs stability, not change. But I think maybe I've just been scared." "Of what?" "Of feeling something for someone new," he said quietly. "Of moving forward." Ellie's expression softened. "I understand that fear. It's like you're betraying what you had before." "Exactly," Jack said, surprised at how perfectly she'd articulated his feelings. "For what it's worth," Ellie said, "I don't think loving again diminishes what you had with your wife. I think it honors it, shows that she taught you how to love well." Jack felt something shift inside him, like a weight lifting. "I'd like to see you again," he said, surprising himself with his directness. "Maybe you could meet Sophie?" Ellie smiled. "I'd like that very much." 2 weeks later, Jack watched nervously as Sophie and Ellie baked cookies in his kitchen. His daughter had been skeptical at first. "Is she your girlfriend, Dad?" But Ellie had won her over by asking about her science project and sharing stories about the kids she worked with at the hospital. "She makes you smile more," Sophie observed later that night as Jack tucked her into bed. "I like that." Jack kissed her forehead. "I like it too, kiddo." Over the following months, Ellie became a regular presence in their lives. She helped Sophie with homework, joined them for movie nights, and even taught Jack a few cooking basics beyond his standard repertoire of spaghetti and grilled cheese. When Sophie came down with the flu, Ellie stayed over to help, sleeping on the couch and checking on her throughout the night. "You didn't have to do all this," Jack told her as they shared coffee the next morning, Sophie finally sleeping peacefully. "I wanted to," Ellie said simply. "I care about both of you." It was then Jack realized he was falling in love with her. The thought no longer scared him. Their first major challenge came 6 months into their relationship, when Ellie was offered a promotion that would require longer hours. Jack found himself irrationally angry, worried that she would have less time for him and Sophie. "This is exactly what happened in my marriage," Ellie said during their argument. "I can't give up opportunities because someone else is uncomfortable with my success." "That's not fair," Jack countered. "This isn't about your success. It's about us building something together." They went to bed angry that night, the first time since they'd started dating. The next morning, Jack called his mother. "You're being an idiot," his mother told him bluntly. "Catherine would be the first to tell you that." The mention of his late wife stopped him short. What do you mean? Your wife was a brilliant woman who loved her career and her family. Would you have ever asked her to choose? Jack felt shame wash over him. No. Never. Then why would you ask that of Ellie? Love isn't about holding someone back, Jackie. It's about helping them fly. That evening, Jack showed up at Ellie's apartment with flowers and an apology. I was wrong, he said simply. I'm proud of you, and I want to support your career the way you've supported me and Sophie. We'll make it work. Ellie's eyes filled with tears. That's all I needed to hear. They learned to navigate their busy schedules, finding quality time even when quantity was limited. Jack started working from home 2 days a week to be there when Sophie got off the school bus. Ellie made Sunday brunch a sacred tradition, filling Jack's once quiet house with laughter and the smell of waffles. 1 year to the day after their first date, Jack took Ellie back to the restaurant where they'd met. Sophie was in on the plan, having helped him pick out the ring and practice his speech. I never expected to find love again, Jack said, holding Ellie's hands across the table. I thought that part of my life was over. But then my car broke down on the side of the road. My car, Ellie corrected with a smile. Your car, Jack acknowledged. And somehow, the universe brought us together twice in one night. I'm not going to question that kind of sign. He pulled the ring box from his pocket and got down on one knee. Eleanor Hayes, will you marry me? Will you help me raise Sophie and build a family together? Will you let me support your dreams the way you've supported mine? Ellie's yes was immediate and tearful. When they told Sophie the news later that night, she hugged Ellie tightly. I knew you were the one for us, she said with the certainty only children possess. Their wedding was small but joyful. Sophie served as both flower girl and best daughter, proudly standing beside her father as he exchanged vows with Ellie. Jack's mother cried happy tears, taking full credit for the match despite the unplanned roadside meeting that had preceded her arranged introduction. Sometimes, Ellie said in her vows, the journey to love takes unexpected detours. I'm so grateful my car broke down that night, and that of all the people who could have stopped to help, it was you. 5 years later, Jack and Ellie sat on the porch swing of their home, watching Sophie teach her 3-year-old brother how to catch fireflies in the twilight. Their family had grown, their careers had flourished, and their love had deepened through challenges and joys alike. Do you ever think about how differently things might have turned out? Ellie asked, leaning her head on Jack's shoulder. If you hadn't stopped to help me that night? Jack squeezed her hand. I like to think we would have found each other anyway. But I'm grateful we didn't have to test that theory. As the children's laughter filled the summer evening, Jack reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a rainy roadside to a family built on second chances and unexpected love. Sometimes, he thought, the detours in life lead us exactly where we're meant to be. So if you're watching this and waiting for your own love story to unfold, remember Jack and Ellie. Remember that sometimes the universe has plans we can't possibly imagine, and the person we're meant to find might be just around the corner, or stranded on the side of the road, waiting for us to stop and offer help. Like this video if you believe in second chances, and subscribe for more stories that remind us all that love often finds us when we least expect it, but exactly when we need it most.